Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Nick Teixeira. For those of you that are joining us for the first time or are hopping on our live or recording online, 26 years old. I've been in the space of personal development and just evolving through my trials and tribulations for the past 7-8 years now. And I'm super excited to speak about the topic that we have for tonight because I think it's so accurate to every single one of us. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see this. Good? Awesome. So learning from defeat. I think this is so important because here are the two factors of life. Every single one of us is inevitably taken by defeat somehow, some way, somewhere. Right. And, that's the reality of life. There are ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. And that's the beauty in it. Right. There's beauty in all of it. And I think that's our duty to find that. And here's the second factor of life when it comes to the conversation of defeat. Every adversity that we face in life carries with it a seed of an equivalent benefit. I encourage every single one of you that have some pen and paper to write this one down. Because with this belief, if we believe that every adversity in life carries with it a seed of an equivalent benefit, then we'll look at it from a different perspective, right? We're going to have a lighter look, a more calm look and perspective as we're facing these defeats ourselves and when we see it in other people, okay? So here's the goal as we are facing defeats in life, right? And I encourage you to take a second before we move on here to take some time and think about maybe some defeats that you feel like you're going through right now, right? That you have some things that are pulling you down or they're challenging you, they're bringing adversity, or maybe some that you faced before in your life, okay? And then you're gonna have something to connect it with in your brain instead of being something so far from you. Okay, so here's the goal. The goal is to convert defeat and use it as a stepping stone for greater achievement. That's the first goal. You guys agree? Drop a 1 in the chat if you agree. As we're thrown these curveballs in life, the goal is to grab that curveball and create a stepping stone for us so that we can grow from there instead of stopping at defeat, okay? Which means we accept it. And I'm going to give you guys at the very end a mantra, a saying that we can tell ourselves whenever we face these adversities, these challenges in our lives so that we can learn and grow from them, okay? Here's a great question. How can I use this trial and temporary defeat as a stepping stone for greater achievement in my life? This is a great question that we can ask ourselves as we're going through these defeats, as we're going through challenges, as we're not hitting our goals, right? We can even come down to that level. We have a goal that we want to accomplish in a specific time frame and it doesn't happen, right? Or we have plans for our lives in any area and it doesn't necessarily work out the way that we expected it to. Can you guys relate? I think it happens to all of us, right? It doesn't always go the way that we want it, right? Just like Mike and Dennis were speaking here a second ago, right? We can focus on the details there. We have the bigger vision, but the moment that we go into the details, guess what? 9 out of 10 times it doesn't go exactly how we think it's gonna go. And so this is a great question that we can ask ourselves. How can I use this trial as temporary defeat, as a stepping stone for greater achievement in my life? It turns on our brain, that part of the brain that is looking for the solution from a lighter perspective, okay? And I think the word attitude has so much to do with this. The attitude that we bring on every single day and we strive to create for ourselves says a lot about us, okay? So having the right attitude towards defeat specifically is the one that refuses to accept it as anything more than temporary. Okay, that's the power of it. Having the right attitude towards defeat is the one that refuses to accept it as anything more than temporary. Okay, this too shall pass. Okay, it's that belief that it's a tiny change, right? It's a small 2 millimeter shift in perspective that as we're going through the trials, we say, this is here, this will pass, okay? This too will pass, okay? And what it does really, the moment that we do that, is we're putting this picture, right? The defeat, as we're facing challenges or as we're facing defeats in our lives, we have this huge picture right in front of us of the defeat, right? We're thinking about it all day long. We're thinking about this problem, this challenge, this situation that we're dealing with, and it's so colorful right in front of our eyes. But then as we shift it 2 millimeters and create the reality that I will accept this as temporary, the moment that we do that, here's what happens to this huge colorful picture. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and black and white, and it goes really far from you, and then you can look at it objectively, and it no longer has a grip on you. It may do so for a short amount of time, but it will not consume you. This is powerful, okay? We don't want to linger in defeat. The goal is to get across those defeats as fast as possible, okay? So here's a defeat. Challenge, which is gifted to show us where we need to improve. You might want to write this one down. A defeat is a challenge that's gifted to us to show us where we need to improve, okay? And my question to you, since that's the definition of defeat, where is this gift from? Who is this gift from? I choose to believe this is a spiritual gift from God. Defeats are there to teach us lessons, okay? Usually when we go through defeats and challenges, adversities, here's one great thing that happens. We get humbled, okay? Because pride is not our friend. And if everything goes well all the time and we're on the road and we're crushing it, guess what? Our ego, our heads can get over us, okay? So these are gifts. And here's what happens at that point. Attention and correction, right? Defeats, challenges, trials, tribulations, they bring attention and correction. They are a blessing. Just like a physical pain that helps us know what's wrong. That makes sense? So you have a toothache, and it's letting you know that there's something that needs attention and correction. That's a blessing that you feel hurt, right? Shift in perspective. Here's the cool thing. It's your choice. A well-disciplined person won't allow anything to destroy himself or herself. They will just adjust. They will just adjust, literally. Self-discipline is when you can change emotions from destructive to constructive power. This one is deep. Drop a 3 in the chat if you see value in this, if you can use this next time that you face challenges. When you can change emotions from destructive to constructive power. And so having great people around us is very important, because we can achieve this. The goal is to be able to do this on our own automatically, even before we go through it, right? Before we feel the pains and the negative emotions of the defeat. However, you might need some great people around you until you get to that point. And wherever we are, that's okay. Okay, here's a little disclaimer. If you accept it as permanent defeat instead of a stimulant to greater action, then your subconscious mind will follow it and make it permanent. This is a huge part right here. If the moment that we accept a defeat as permanent, instead of something that is going to create a greater purpose, a greater action, something good that will come out of it, then our subconscious mind instantly will follow that direction and make it permanent for ourselves, right? If we believe it, it will be, okay? Habit of looking for the good that there is to be found in every form of defeat, okay? The meaning that we give to things is really what creates it, right? The habit of looking for the good there is to be found in every form of defeat, okay? And so I'm gonna leave you guys with this mantra, okay, this saying that I encourage you to write this down, and write it down in your walls, write it down in your mirror, write it down on a piece of paper, put it in front of your refrigerator, and you want to remind yourself of this, because I don't care how much of on a roll we are, we will be hit with challenges. And these are good challenges. These are good things, but we have to keep the right perspective in mind, okay? The defeat can neither be an asset or a liability, okay? Defeat can neither be an asset or a liability. And here's the mantra. I refuse to accept anything as negative as long as I can learn from it. I refuse to accept anything as negative as long as I can learn and grow from it. Okay, we have this written down in our wall, and we revisit it all the time. And now it's become a thing where we say that, okay, automatically in our minds, or we verbally out loud say it, and it reminds us of the truth. I refuse to accept anything as negative as long as I can learn and grow from it. Guys, I could keep it going, but I believe that this is just enough. We're going to forget 90% of what we hear within 24 hours anyways. I hope that you're able to take some value from this. I hope that you apply it, okay? It's in the application of the knowledge that we are able to change our lives. And so I hope that you are able to take some value from this just as much as I have teaching myself and relearning this information, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to pass it on to my brother, Mike Batanti, is going to finish the second half of this call, and I'm excited to connect with you guys soon. Much love, everybody.
I appreciate you, Nikki T. Always bringing the value, and I love the way that you present your information, man. That those PowerPoints, they're powerful. You know, being able to see the words in front of me, it's doing a lot for me, man. So, cheers to you for that effort. I'm gonna, when we were talking about failing forward, and Nick and I were like, yeah, this is gonna be the topic. There were so many different places that I could take this, and what a beautiful opportunity for us to take it back to month one of Wave Makers. And the pinnacle of what I believe is the foundation of success is self-love, self-awareness, mindfulness, right? That's what we build everything off of, right? That is the pillar of success for most people, right? My self-love, my mindfulness, my self-awareness is built off of God's love for me. Right? That is my foundation, right? But for everybody out there, the message applies is you have no idea how to manage your emotions until you are aware of your emotions. I repeat that. You will have no idea how to manage your emotions until you become aware of your emotions. The term that I use and the term that I urge for you to research and study is mindfulness. It's a practice, right? Of becoming self-aware. It's the practice of identifying, wow, my mind is in a weird place. I need to be aware of that, right? I apply it to my life in a multitude of ways, especially with business. Like there are times where I am wildly successful, right? I'm selling all types of stuff all week long and I'm on a high. I need to understand when my persona is thriving and confident and successful so that I can push the gas in those moments. I also conversely need to be aware of when I'm in a slump and when I'm not feeling very confident and when I'm not myself, right? So that I can know these are the times when I need to communicate extra to the people around me. And I need to communicate extra to my support system that Nick talked about so that we can mediate the damage, right? The conversation, and we're all going to ride this wave of highs and lows. The conversation needs to be, and I want you to write this down, I need to learn how to maximize the highs and minimize the lows. Mike Batanti used to be boom, 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 like my highs. Nick will tell you, my lows are disgustingly low. I disappear, I stop talking, I shut the door, and I cry. And I leave everybody out because I don't want to bring anyone else down with me. I'm a sinking ship. So I'm just going to shut the door and not say anything to anybody, right? And my highs are like, whoa, like that kid is going to change the world. That kid right there is going to change the world. What I needed to do is I needed to become more self-aware of my highs and lows. I needed to practice mindfulness to get myself to a place where I could capitalize when I'm up here and I could minimize how deep I go and how long I stay down there, right? And it's super powerful to become aware of that, right? Nick talked about having that support system It's deeper than that, right? Like, yes, have your support system, but being able to understand how to leverage and use the tools that you have, right? Imagine having a tool belt and you haven't taken the time to identify how to use the tools. They're useless. If you got a nail gun and you don't know how to reload it with nails, like you don't have much, right? You got a power washer and you don't know how to start it. You don't have much, right? So being able to put together that circle, right? Being able to put together that support system, but understanding how to use it. And a lot of times the bridge that we're missing is effective communication, right? We don't know how to use our support system. We don't know how to appropriately ask for help. We don't know how to appropriately mediate the lows because we don't know how to effectively communicate. It's either that or we're not aware of our lows when they're happening, which is an even bigger problem, right? That lack of self-awareness. And look, I'm not preaching at you. I'm in it as well. My lows are disgustingly low, and it is up to me and no one else to learn how to manage my lows, right? It is up to me. Write that down. It is up to me and no one else to learn how to manage my lows. And it becomes a powerful tool because then you're aware of it and then you can effectively learn how to communicate that, right? So check this out. I spent some time in Colorado, and while I was in Colorado, I met this lady, 53-year-old lady. I met her downtown. She was multiple millionaire, 3 successful marketing companies that she had started and sold, Forbes articles left and right. And I met her just out at the restaurant, right? And we got to talking, and she was like, you know, I can see that you're very open to information. She was like, I paid $40,000 to go study from this prestigious guy. And she was like, I'm going to give you the 3 main takeaways of this course that I paid $40,000 for. Right. And the course teaches you how to do 3 things, right? 3 aspects that you can begin to place in your life that might create some perspective shift and might be able to help you, right? The first one, being able to see yourself from 10 feet behind you. That observer point of view. Sometimes we're so caught up in our own mess. We are so caught up in our own ego, our own feelings, our own drama, our own, like it's in it. I'm in it. I'm living it. That we're just not aware of it, right? Every time I'm going down, I don't even see it happening until it's happened, right? Until the door is shut and I'm not picking up the phone and I'm not answering the people who are reaching out to me, right? So being able to be 10 feet behind me, looking in at myself at any given moment, it reverts back to the conversation of mindfulness. That's what it means to be mindful, is being able to look in on yourself from a third-party perspective and become more aware of your habits, of your tendencies, of the things that you're battling and facing, right? The second thing, imagine you have a tail that's behind you and it's constantly propping you upwards, right? As humans, we have 2 legs. It gives us the power to fall back. Imagine if you had a tail that at every moment was planted behind you in the center, holding you up, and not just holding you up, but pushing you forward, right? It creates a little perspective for how we should fall. Don't fall backwards, fall forward so that you can use your strength to get back up and keep on going, right? So that second one is, imagine that you have a tail that's constantly planted, right, and holding you up. The third one, and this is the one I really attached to 10 feet behind me. That was the one I grabbed a hold of the most. And then she finished with this one. She said, always imagine that wherever you are, the second you decide to stop and look around, that your feet sink 2 feet below the ground. And it creates stability, right? It's okay to stop and look around. It's okay to stop and smell the roses. You don't always have to be going a mile a minute. It's not always go, go, go. And look, I'm looking at everyone on this call. We're all pretty much millennials. And you know what our problem as millennials is? Now, ahora, right? You know why we love Uber? Right now, convenience, time. Time is money. I got to go now, now, now. But here's the reality of self-development, personal growth, self-love, self-awareness, happiness. They are very, very long, lifelong processes. These things do not happen overnight. It will take your entire life, and you still will most likely get to the end of the road and say, like, man, I'm still getting to know myself. I'm still getting to know who I am, because we're constantly changing. We're constantly adapting. We're constantly evolving. The things that we cared about are no longer what we care about. We now care about different things, new things, right? I used to care about money, and now all I care about is what God thinks of me, right? I used to care about this, but all of a sudden that lost its interest because I grew up, right? And that concept right there of planting your feet and being able to take a minute to look around, to evaluate, right? These are the fundamentals for me that allow me to fall forward, that allow me to fail forward comfortably, is because I'm constantly working on the mindfulness of, man, I got to become more self-aware of my highs and lows, right? So that I can identify when I'm failing and when I need to be paying attention the most, which is in my failures. Don't tell me what I'm doing right. I'm already doing those things right. You know what I'm saying? I need accountability partners that are telling me where I'm slipping up so that I can plug into that and be more mindful, right? And being able to utilize that support system around you through your communication, which stems from your mindfulness of identifying when you're in a funk, right? And then these three things, try it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Lady paid $40,000 to go to this prestigious Dalai Lama type person. And this is what the guy dished out, is 10 feet behind you, always being able to create that third party perspective. Imagine that you have a tail that's planted. It's an imaginary tail, right? It's not actually there. Metaphorically, it's there. And it's holding you up from falling backwards, and it's pushing you forwards so that you're constantly leaning, right? Going this way. And then imagine that when you do decide to stop, when you do decide to take a look around, when you do decide to take a moment to reevaluate, immediately let your feet sink 2 feet below the ground so that there's stability there, right? That there's stability. And that stability, that metaphor for the ground that's holding you stable, is like, what are your beliefs? What are your beliefs? What is your faith? What do you believe in? Who are you? What are your core morals? Right? And those are the things that are supposed to hold you stable in the hard times. Is what do I believe? Right? And never waver from those things. So that's what I got. I hope you gained some value. Nikki T, I'll pass it back to you, bud.
I love it, bro. That's very, very accurate, and I can relate with a lot of what you said. So thank you for the value. For those of you watching the recording, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll be live with us sometime soon so you can mastermind with us after these calls. Much love and God bless.